What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 experience with myself, Thomas Mabaso. Guys, today I want us to talk to the African National Congress and the DA, man, because we really must say this, man. The African National Congress and the DA, they have failed to see that Julius Malema was building a monster when he started the Economic Freedom Fighters, because you remember when African National Congress expelled Julius Malema, and Julius Malema, they took everything away from Julius Malema, and Julius Malema went out and started his own political party, man. I remember the DA and the African National Congress, man. They were saying that Julius Malema was never going to amount to anything. They said that the EFF was going to be another failed party, and they said that they didn't actually believe in the whole idea of the Economic Freedom Fighters, man. Especially when you look at the DA. This is the reason why today you see the DA saying that the Economic Freedom Fighters are their enemy number one, man. They are saying this because these guys have failed to see that, or they failed to acknowledge the EFF as a worthy opponent, man. And they had to wait 10 years until the EFF was so big. It was be like, oh, guys, maybe we made a mistake by not acknowledging these guys as worthy opponents. Because what happened is that for the longest time, the DA was the only alternative for South Africans, man. For the longest time, people were voting for the Democratic Alliance, and I remember there was at some point South Africans were so fed up with the whole idea of the ANC, and they wanted to vote for the DA. But when the EFF came along, the plan of the DA, the plan of the DA, it crashed. The popularity of the DA, it crashed. Why? Because most people who used to vote for the African National Congress and who no longer want to vote for the African National Congress, it is easier for them to go and vote for the Economic Freedom Fighters, because the EFF is proposing the same policies that the African National Congress is proposing. The EFF is saying, guys, these guys at the African National Congress have failed to deliver on land. They have failed to deliver on nationalization of the mines, of nationalization of Reserve Bank, of nationalization of the land, and we as the Economic Freedom Fighters, we are promising you guys that we can deliver on these promises that the African National Congress has failed to implement. So the African National Congress, man, they really have themselves to blame for us having the EFF today, and the DA also have themselves to blame for us having the EFF today, because the DA, man, the arrogancy of the DA is the one that caused all of this mess that we are seeing today. Because today you can see the DA is running around telling people that if you vote for the EFF, it is done for our democracy. If the policies that the EFF is coming with are going to harm our countrymen. These guys are using this fear-mongering tactics to scare people away from voting from the EFF. They even said that they want to vote to report Julius Malema to the United Nations Human Rights Council because of that kill the bull, kill the farmer thing. You remember, guys, but I know that this whole thing, it had to do with the 2024 election. The DA does not want to come face to face with the EFF in 2024. And you look at the African National Congress, most of the guys in the African National Congress, when Malema left or after Malema was expelled, man, they said, Malema, you need to come back, man. You need to beg Thabo Mbeki, you need to beg Mkante, you need to beg Ramaphosa to take you back to the gravy train, man. You cannot lose out on the African National Congress. It's cold outside the African National Congress. You will never amount to anything. You will never open up a successful party outside the African National Congress. And Malema went out and he started the EFF, and now the EFF is one of the most influential political parties that we have today. And thank you to the ANC and thank you to the DA for failing to see that Julius Malema was cooking up a monster when he cooked up the Economic Freedom Fighters. Now you are running around, you are scared for your lives when you think about the Economic Freedom Fighters. This is the reason why the Secretary-General of the African National Congress, Fikile Mbalula, man, whenever the name of Julius Malema comes to his head, he talks about Julius Malema, whether he's addressing the veterans, whether he's addressing the Women's League, whether he's addressing the youth, or whatever that he's addressing at that time. When the name of Julius Malema comes to his head, he talks about Julius Malema. It doesn't even matter whether this guy is at home watching Skim Sam with his family. When the name of Julius Malema comes, he starts taking up his cell phone and he tweets about Julius Malema, man. And this chest pain, this is a chest pain that you see from Fikile Mbalula. It is a reflective chest pain of the ANC and the DA, because these guys have failed to see that Julius Malema was cooking up a monster when he was cooking up the EFF. So guys, today I want us to look at this clip where Julius Malema was doing an interview with the Sunday World. He recently did an interview. This interview, guys, is very recently. And on this interview, they were talking about Fikile Mbalula and this hatred of Fikile Mbalula towards the CIC and towards the EFF.
Mbalula has been your real nemesis this year politically since he became the Secretary-General of the ANC in December. Where does that beef, if I'm to call it that, come from? Because, I mean, others would assume that perhaps, as you just said now, that you will put your name up for president. He himself has presidential ambitions. Is it about that, about who becomes president first between the two of you?
No, Mbalula uses people. There are so many people, I don't want to call their names, that he used. So Mbalula, when he loses position, he will frequent your house as often as you can imagine, to a point where even the cleaners can't differentiate whether he stays here or he doesn't stay here. Once he gets a position, the first people to reject are the people he spent sleepless nights with. And I've got a long list of such people.
And guys, I'm telling the truth. You know, when I say that the voters of the DA and the voters of the ANC, man, they need to hold their leaders accountable for having the EFF. They need to hold their leaders accountable, man. These guys have failed. They have failed. Today we have Action SA, we have Rise SA, we have Shiluva, and we have Build One South Africa, man. If you are a leader of a political party, you need to see that out of those four guys, who is going to make it big? Who is a worthy opponent? Who is someone that you shouldn't take lightly? Out of four guys, out of all those guys, who is one person that you shouldn't take lightly? But they are failing to do that. They are doing the same thing that they were doing with the economic freedom fighters when it started. They are saying that about Musi Maimane, man. People are making fun of Musi Maimane, saying that Musi Maimane, you are pushing it. You and this Build One South Africa movement, you are pushing it. There is absolutely no way South Africans are going to elect you with this vehicle of Build One South Africa to become the president. They are doing the same thing, even with Bongani Balui. You know that Bongani Balui, who was at the Democratic Alliance and left and went to the Action SA and left to the Action SA, and now he has his own political party, Shiluva. Man, they are saying the same thing, man, like Bongani Balui. Man, we love you, man. We understand that you are one of the smartest guy in the South Africa right now, but man, you really need to be honest with yourself, man. There's no way that you're gonna become the president of South Africa, man, with this Shiluva thing, man. You must come and join the African National Congress. This is what Panyaza Lusufi said the same thing. That Bongani Balui must come and join the African National Congress. I think Panyaza Lusufi knows, man, that guy is bright. We cannot take that guy lightly. We cannot make the same mistake that we made with Julius Malema. We said that this guy was never gonna amount to anything. We laughed at this guy, man. We laughed at him, we mocked him, we made fun of him. But today, he's competing with us. He's a worthy enemy today. And I think this is the reason why you hear people like Panyaza Sufi saying that, man, Bongani Balui, you need to come through to the African National Congress, man. Dump this whole thing of Shiluva, man. Dump this whole thing of Shiluva. We know that you are frustrated with how the DA has treated, you, and with how Action SA has treated you. But you must come to the African National Congress, man. They cannot make the same mistake they made with Julius Malema. And the DA also. You guys, it is your fault too. It's your fault too. For the longest time, guys, you enjoyed being the only alternative in South Africa, man. But you failed to capitalize on the fact that you were the only alternative in South Africa. You failed to capitalize on that. You failed to grow, despite the fact that people only had you and the African National Congress to vote for. People today are more confused because you have Gayton Mackenzie there with the Patriotic Alliance, man. He's doing the Lord's work. People are going to vote for him in Cape Town. You have EFF like now has his own solid base. You have Action SA is taking over all of Johannesburg. And you have, guys, now people are more confused. Like the DA failed to capitalize when it was like when it was time, like that time during them and the African National Congress. You failed to capitalize on that. You failed. And today you are running around applying the fear-mongering tactics, telling people that if they vote for the EFF, our democracy is done. It's because you guys have failed to see this guy as a worthy opponent. Thanks to you, we are at a position that we are in today. If you guys were smart enough to see that, okay, Julius Malema, whatever that he's cooking with this EFF thing, it is not good. We need to do something about that. Maybe, just maybe, you would have had a chance of stopping Julius Malema, but no, you didn't. You didn't. You and your ANC guys, man, you guys are so arrogant. This is the reason why today the DA and the ANC are the least popular parties in South Africa, because you guys are so arrogant. Because you are so arrogant.
Even now, don't think that even Mbalula gets outvoted as the Secretary-General of the ANC, he will not reach out to me or to any of the people he's not talking to now. Every time he gets into power, some drunkenness overpowers him, and he doesn't take the people he lives with, his own people, serious.
Hey, but Fikile Mbalula sounds drunk with power, man. Have you heard this guy speak, man? Have you heard Fikile Mbalula speak? Man, the guy is drunk with power. But I think he's charismatic, man. I think if there's one person that can really win the ANC, maybe a lot of votes, man, it's Fikile Mbalula, man. Fikile Mbalula, the ANC needs to have the guy as the next president there, man. There's no one that the ANC has, man. Right now, it's only Fikile Mbalula, man. The guy is charismatic. Whenever he speaks, people listen. Whether you agree or disagree with what he says, people listen. Just like Julius Malema, man. Julius Malema, it doesn't matter whether you hate him with all your guts, but when he speaks, you're going to listen.
And so he uses people and then dump them like that. And I've not, I mean, when we formed the EFF, Mbalula discarded us, never wanted anything to do with us.
Not only Mbalula, man, all of these guys that are running around today screaming and telling people not to vote for the EFF, all of these guys, man, they were laughing at the EFF, man. They were laughing at the idea of the Economic Freedom Fighters. They were laughing at an idea of having another party besides the ANC and the DA. They were laughing at that. They said there's no way that could happen. In South Africa, we only have two political parties. We have the DA and we have the African National Congress. All of these guys are reserves. All of them. But the EFF proved them wrong. It proved them wrong. Malema proved them wrong, man. And they can't take that. They cannot. So guys, this is a rude reminder. This is a rude reminder to the African National Congress and the DA that, guys, it is your fault today we are in the position that we are in. It is your fault. Because you failed to do something about the EFF when it started. Instead, you chose to make fun of the guy. You chose to laugh at him. Today, you are running around scared in your boots, telling people not to vote for him. He's too big now. What is it that the ANC and the EFF are going to do? What is it that the ANC and the DA are going to do to stop the EFF in 2024? What are you going to do? You saw their 10-year anniversary there in FNB Stadium. You saw what happened in FNB Stadium. The EFF has grown. And it looks like in 2024 they are coming with fire. What is it that ANC is going to do? Because... And I think, and it's insane that the EFF is running with the same policies of the ANC, man. I think that is one thing that really irks the ANC, because that is the same thing that was said by that fool of ANC Youth League President Colin Malachi, saying that the EFF stole everything of the ANC. They said the ideas and the manifestos and whatever that the EFF is saying, those things belong to the African National Congress. Those are the plans and the ideas of the African National Congress. That's what he said. So is that the best that you can do? Is that the best that the ANC can do, to tell people that how can you vote for the EFF because the EFF is running with the same policies we've been talking about? The problem is that you guys have failed to implement those policies. And the DA, you guys have failed to do something about the EFF when it started. You failed. Just like you are failing to do something about Patriotic Alliance, you are also ignoring Patriotic Alliance in Cape Town. DA is also ignoring Patriotic Alliance in Cape Town. The same thing is going to happen there. And what are you going to do next? Man, it's going to be a bloodbath for the Democratic Alliance in 2024, man. Especially when you have those guys there with the Patriotic Alliance doing the Lord's work in Cape Town. It's going to be a bloodbath for the DA. There's no wonder why the DA is trying to recruit everyone to come to their party. There's no wonder. Because they know that, guys, in 2024, we might see we might take the huge knock, the biggest knock that we've ever taken as a party. You see that 2% that you called Musi Maimane a failed experiment over? You're gonna wish that you only dropped with 2% after 2024. You're gonna wish that Musi Maimane is still your president. Because when you really look at it, Musi Maimane saved that party, man. He saved the DA. He saved the DA. What's gonna happen with the DA, man, in 2025, man? You guys are gonna wish that Musi Maimane was still your president. You're gonna wish that 2% that you call the guy a failed experiment over, you're gonna wish that is the only thing that you lose in 2024. Because me personally, man, I see a bloodbath. I hear what people are saying, man. It's going to be a bloodbath for the DA in 2024. The fight is between the ANC and the EFF. The fight is between the ANC and the EFF. Well,
and then when he now started wanting to be the Secretary-General of the ANC, he came back to me. We were spending the days and nights together. Even when he went to Nazareth to be elected Secretary-General, we were speaking day in, day out. Came back to the conference, was in my space, and all of that. Once he assumed that position, he started now calling us names. And because some people said Malema made his match in Mbalula, and that thing went into his crazy head. But always when there are tensions between me and Mbalula, for whatever reason, when we meet, we've always been cordial. Until I met him now at Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral. I could sense the tension because he came greeting everybody, and when he came to greeting me, he doubted whether he must come greet me, and I know him when he doesn't like people. So I could see that now we've reached the real point of disliking each other, and I don't care about him. He can go, so I don't care. And I'm the one who said to him there at Prince Mangosuthu, he wanted to avoid Msholos. I said, greet Msholos. And I went to greet Msholos. So he's personal like that. He's childish like that. He thinks that power never comes to an end. But what does he do with power? What does he do? I mean, he's nothing that there is nothing that you can say, oh, this guy is in power, and therefore because he's in power, I won't get 1, 2, 3. He won't block anything for you. He won't do anything for you. So he can as well just enjoy that power. We don't care about it. But
and Fikile Mbalula, man, I must say that Fikile Mbalula has brought such a big disrepute to the office of the Secretary-General, man, of the ANC. Fikile Mbalula being the Secretary-General of the ANC, man, that office, man, has lost respect, I must say, because of how he conducts himself, man, online, on television, everywhere, man. It's like, man, can't you see that you have one of the biggest offices there in the African National Congress, man? You have one of the most influential offices in the African National Congress. But he has turned, man, like right now, man, people like I doubt that South Africans are going to respect the Secretary-General, man. I doubt. You know, even when South Africans don't like the African National Congress, but when the Secretary-General of the African National Congress speaks, people listen, man. Whenever the Secretary-General of the African National Congress speaks, people listen. It doesn't matter at the time whether you like the ANC or you hate the ANC. You just want to hear what is it that the ANC is coming with this time. But Mbalula has reached that point where people don't even want to listen to him because he talks so much nonsense. Even when he says things make sense, you don't even know when was the time when Mbalula was talking something that makes sense, because all the time he talks nonsense. And at the same time, this guy is the Secretary-General of the African National Congress. Can you imagine if the ANC wants to inform South Africans with something so important, and Fikile Mbalula is there on stage, and people are not even watching the television because they want to be like, it's another day of Fikile Mbalula. The man has brought disrepute, man, to the office of the Secretary-General, man. And I think that he's going to lose that position in this ANC conference. I honestly think he's going to. I don't think Ramaphosa is going to have time to save Mbalula, man. You know they want Mashatile to be the president, the African National Congress. You know that the African National Congress is two parties. They are fighting each other there. So Ramaphosa does not have time to save Mbalula, man. He's going to have to work hard to save his own skin. He's gonna have to work twice as hard to save his own skin. I don't know about Mbalula, man, and I don't know. Like, if you are an ANC member, man, do you like having such a charismatic person to be your Secretary-General, man? You see this guy in Isma Khashule.
What if he becomes the next president? Because he's very close with the office that he has, at least through the ANC. I mean, the next conference can become a president if he wants. That is their own thing. We really don't care whether he becomes president or he doesn't become president. He's a Secretary-General now. And they said he's going to restore the ANC and he's going to make sure the ANC gets its two-thirds majority and its majority in the next elections. Let's see that. Let's see that, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're going to fight them bitterly with or without Mbalula. If anything, it is Mbalula who's going to discredit the last remaining smaller dignity of the ANC. And Fikile Mbalula.
Guys, what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Am I right for criticizing the ANC and the DA for having EFF today? And I'm not saying that I regret having the EFF today, man. Shout out to Julius Malema for building an alternative for South Africans, man. South Africans were frustrated with this whole thing of the African National Congress and the DA enjoying majority there, enjoying all the popularity, man. What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts? Please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.